seen as the fourth revolution. Consumer behavior has changed. Disruption and transformation is happening in all industries. Learn on how to get your organization aligned towards the new normal and to prepare for the future. Please welcome Kai Herzberger.
Thanks so much.
There you go.
Thanks so much. That's real disruption. I know it's hard because I'm standing between beer, dinner, and myself. So please bear with me. I'm more than happy to be here at CeBIT again. It's a 25 history for me today. Why talking about mobile? Why talking about disruption? Because Facebook has gone through disruption itself. Also, we are only a couple of years old, as you might know. But let me start with disruption is going not only like a Silicon Valley buzzword. It's impacting all industries. It's in particular impacting industries where you might not think about, right? I just saw like the panel talking about Volkswagen, VW was mentioned, Deutsche Bahn, and so on. So disruption is going through all of the industries. But let me ask you a question. When do you think the first mobile or mobility thing was happened? Was it that one? No, not really. That was the first mobile device. It was a car. It made us kind of travel from point A to point B. It gave us a different perspective on mobility. That was transforming our lives. That was let us go from one to the other. But here's a question for you. Who knows that person? Anyone? His name is Walter Arnold. You know what he is famous for? He drove 8 miles per hour. 6 miles per hour faster than allowed per traffic. So he was the first one getting a speed ticket and kind of starting transformation in the mobile sector by even going faster. And that's what we are currently experiencing in the industry in particular. If we go like 20 years back almost, the PC, and every one of you has no PC now on his legs, but the PC world changed the way on communication and on media. But funnily, if we think about how that happened, the device that you all have, which potentially is somehow a burden, but also like an opportunity for every one of us, because what is the first thing we experience in the morning? We don't kiss our wife or our husband. We just grab kind of the mobile phone, check emails, read feeds, think about news, and experience kind of the mobile way of things. So mobile, that smartphone, is changing our life. And is in particular changing our life in all of the industries. Why is that? Let me kind of unpeel the onion for you and think about why we are in a new era and why we talk about the fourth revolution. Let me talk about how we see, in particular, disruptors in different segments experience and compete about like more the traditional way of companies. And then the other thing, I want to give you a bit of kind of a toolkit, how you can create transformation and disruption into your own organizations. But let's start with the era of disruption. Andy Grove, 1999, only 20 years back, was setting that scene on market share gain. That was at a time where the PC was evolving and kind of getting the predominant access to information. Today, 19 years later, who of you was in Sao Paulo yet? Who has the Uber app installed on your mobile phone? Who has ordered a helicopter? It's only 75 bucks. Flying in Sao Paulo, getting around the traffic jam. That's like disruption, right? So think about a company like Uber who has gone through like making travel disrupting and thinking about the new way of mobility. By letting people fly a helicopter, which normally no one from us will do, but overcome the traffic jam problem in particular. How we see that, if you kind of look into growth over time, is normally you're okay with a couple of percentage points revenue increase or net margin increase. But the disruptors and transformers these days are just kind of skyrocketing it. And why do they that? If you take the normal marketing funnel, all of those companies which are more like the flat lines, they start in particular from a brand perspective. But those disruptors are just flipping the communication funnel. They just start purely on sales driving and then build the brands. And you can see that in particular for companies like Rocket Internet, a German incubator out of Berlin. They have just switched the way on how to transform marketing and communication into people. Are they profitable? Not yet. But they have gone the same way like Coca-Cola in the first days. Coca-Cola was revolutionizing, in particular, beverages, because you can't get like a 5 centiliter shot for just a dime. So in particular, what we can learn is traditional companies like a Coke, as we see it today, was already disrupted like back a couple of decades ago. Let's take Fortune 500, and let's take a step into 1955. And let's think about the Fortune 500, apologize for the break here, but out of the Fortune 500 in 1955, only 12% are still in the Fortune 500. And that's how disruption is going across all of the industry. So the one thing you have to ask yourself, are you a disruptor in your industry, or are you sufficient with kind of a couple of percentage points revenue increase or net margin? And are you going the agile way, as the panel was just mentioning, or are you just following like a process flow, which takes time and which is too long kind of making a decision? So successful disruptive companies think about consumers. So they put consumer centricity, but they are in particular delivering to consumers which the consumer doesn't know that he wants it, but in a way that he kind of buys it. We are talking about internally, in particular about the microwave generation. They want it hot and they want it now. So if you as a company are not following like the on-demand, quick as possible delivery of your services and products, you might be kind of not in a disruptive way thinking about customer centricity. Today, if we take social platforms, including ours, there are more than 35,000 businesses established on a daily basis. Just think about that. 35,000 new businesses on a daily basis. So your competition, which you might see today as one of your competitor and disruptor industry, might not be the one. It's the other 35,000 which are just popping up somewhere across the globe. And that's across industries. Take Airbnb. Airbnb revolutionized, in particular, a hotel room or kind of sleeping. Now you can sleep in the house of a stranger, which sometimes is even better than kind of spending time in a cozy, small hotel room. They disrupted, in particular, like the big chains. You can go into finance, where the traditional banks are disrupted by the fintech companies. You can go into FMCG, retail, so a list of companies you have here. The one thing I recommend to you while I'm standing between the beer and the dinner and my presentation is open up your business tonight. Just try to find your own business tonight. Open it up. Mobile is enabling you that. Just open up a page. It's so easy. And then just run an ad. Just put it in front of your friends, family, and so on. And just try to incorporate that insights you are getting from the people. Because that is, in particular, how disruptors and transformers are currently going through. If we think about people today, and if we're going to put it into Facebook, people are consuming at the moment 300 feet of information on a daily basis. That is as large as the Statue of Liberty. Just imagine that, and it's every one of us in that room. 300 feet of information just on the Facebook feed. But why does that matter? And why and how do disruptors in particular move fast? Let's take automotive, because it's one of the challenged industries at the moment, if you think about like from a media perspective. But automobile and automotive, no, it's not working, okay. They are disrupting. You can take like the things like Drive Now or Car2Go. You can go down the road into like a Tesla or Apple or Google Maps in particular, or like the Google Drive, or you take an Uber where you can like order a helicopter. So that's how companies are kind of disrupting the automotive sector by splitting it into different silos. If we take that a bit further and take it onto Facebook, we had to learn our thing on disruption. When we went IPO, we only had a desktop service. We didn't have a mobile app. We were not mobile. And then we IPO'd, and the stock price went down. So what we did is we disrupted our own company by just not hiring new mobile engineers, but educating our engineers into kind of just focus on mobile and build mobile first. And that's where we took out, and that's a poster which is hanging around all of our offices, where we took out users because we were talking about users and talked about people. And that small thing, only that small thing, changed in particular how we are seeing disruption and transformation within the company. But now an experiment with you. 90% of the information that is transmitted today into your brain is mainly like text. However, if you think about your retina, 40% of the information that you consume is in particular pictures or animated like videos and so on. And you're more likely to remember something which is a picture or video than it is text. And now let's do a test together. No, it's not working. Would you mind just clicking on that video? There is a video embedded. It's not working? You can't click it? Oh, sorry. So normally there would be text, which is like speed reading. You would read normally 300 words a minute. By that, you would just go over 500 words a minute in particular. So I'm gonna put that somewhere so that you can do the test. So how do disruptors move fast? Well, the creation portion is one of the key things. They create to be quick, and they create to kind of put in particular emphasis on the sale. They look at personalization at scale, because they don't put the customer and the user into perspective. They think about broad, about people. The other thing is, they break silos, or they are blind in silos, because they don't think about kind of silo way. They are just taking everything out of the equation and just say, go fast and move it. And then the one thing which is in particular striking here in EMEA is they test and learn. So just think about your own company, how much you have done in innovation in the last couple of years, and how much you have followed like a process point of view, putting your idea in. Then there comes a steering committee. Then there's the CFO and CEO who might have also a decision to make. So that whole process takes a while up until the product and service is being launched in the market and really has been seen by people. And disruptors are even kind of taking that out of the equation. They are not focusing on that chain, process chain. So let me give you a bit of input why it's not about new ideas. It's just about make old ideas in particular work better. So disruptors think about solutions by creating a problem for themselves and then trying to solve that one. And here's a number 2 versus 68. So now you might think, what is a 2 versus 680? I'm wearing glasses. I'm not wearing contact lenses. But there's a company which was founded 2016 which revolutionized contact lenses by just focusing on mobile. And they were faster delivering contact lenses to the people than a large corporation which existed already for a decade. And that company is called Hubble. And you can see they were founded 2016. They're already doing over 210 million current valuation, and 95% of their marketing budget is digital. So that's how a company, and it's like contact lenses, so I'm one of the ones which doesn't see anything at night in particular. So how you can disrupt the market, which is normally, in particular, a traditionally oriented one. Let's take how they create to convert. The funny thing is when we talk to marketeers, or I talk to marketeers, they always think about the marketing funnel. If you would go out here and ask someone if they have seen a brand ad of your company or if they have seen a performance ad, that person might say, I have seen communication, but I can't judge if it's a brand or a performance ad. So that organizational change and that organizational silo should be taken away. And that's why disruptors think about commerce and not about kind of following a funnel perspective. And if you take, for example, Renault, totally traditional car dealer, producing cars, which you not kind of feel and touch and taste, in particular on a digital way. They are using digital just to put people into test drives and get people into the dealership. So they are using, in particular, like a digital and mobile environment to think about how to disrupt their own market landscape, where traditional media is still one big one. The other one is personalization at scale. Disruptors, as we see today, are not thinking about mass marketing. They think about mass mattering. So it's again putting the person first and not the company first. And I have two examples for that one with me. Shell. Shell, known for the fuel we always get. They had a challenge with millennials. Millennials always thinking about how to move into more like the green energy one. And what they did is they, in particular, disrupted their own marketing communication, just focusing on that one target group by sending out a communication to people which normally think about energy in a different way than we would do who have a car, who are going to the gas station every day, who are filling it up and so on. And you can see the results. The other one is Zalando. Zalando, fashion brand, fashion company, or fashion platform out of EMEA and based in Berlin. Who knows about Cara Delevingne and Topshop? Now you have to raise your hand if you're a fashion victim. If not, you're right, because you are at Cebit, it's the perfect environment. The one thing Zalando did is rethinking marketing from the point of putting Topshop in front of people. And not in front of only their customers, but in front of the whole of EMEA. How did they do that? They used one TV spot and just amplified it to different city names. So it's not only like having Topshop in London, in Berlin, in Madrid, in Paris. They put, in particular, Topshop from a communication perspective in the smallest towns ever. So Hannover-Garbsen, or Buxtehude, or anything else. By just rethinking marketing from the point of view, just disrupting it. And normally there should be a video, I'm just kind of jumping over that. But you should look that up. You can do like a search on Topshop, Cara Delevingne, and the cases from Zalando. The funny thing is, by doing that change, they have seen an incremental revenue of more than 80 million in that period where they ran the campaign, which was 8 weeks. Just by rethinking kind of the marketing instruments on how to personalize at scale. The other thing is break silos. Airbnb I already mentioned. Think about tonight while you're going out for a pizza, or maybe you're going to go to an Indian place or wherever. But just think about when you're at home, you have like a fully day, and you just order Chinese food. And now think about the likes of HelloFresh, which are just bringing ingredients to cook with the recipes and with everything kind of to your house. That's how disruption and transformation has been done by those companies. And finally, Airbnb, higher market capitalization than Hilton at the moment. Or just think about who was at Starbucks this morning. Well, you need a coffee now after my presentation, but this morning you might have had like a coffee. But how they personalize. And why are they always writing your name wrongly? Right? My first name is Kai. They always have it wrong. So I switched to my second name, which is Roger. But they still get it wrong. But why do they get it wrong? Because it's that smiley thing that you're going to come back and kind of, they think about people. And they don't see you as like a customer coming, get a coffee, and go on. They just want to make you smile every day. The other one is test and learn, test and learn, test and learn, and iterate. It's the agility of the way on how, in particular, technology and marketing is done. Mercedes-Benz. Just think about customer service, how long it takes. You have to drive to the dealer, right? Then there's like a long line. Then you don't get an appointment right away while you have a problem. Just think about the transformational thing there, why you can do like communication on a messaging app. And just get kind of the answers delivered to you, as you can see there. That's like taking a solution which is already there, or a problem which already is there, kind of just into the other side of things. So I want to start closing off already with a couple of slides. The one thing you should ask yourself tonight, over dinner, maybe after you had a couple of glasses of wine and beer, think about yourself, are you really disrupting in your company, in your industry? If not, start tomorrow. Take your mobile phone out and make a promise to your colleague or your friend or whomsoever, your partner in the industry. Write him, I'm not a disruptor. I'm going to start to be a disruptor by tomorrow. Make that promise. Because if you don't make that promise, it will never happen. And then the question is, in your company, and the panel had a point now, it needs to be lived by the executive team. I have a different viewpoint. Disruption and transformation comes from the bottom. It's not coming from the top. The top needs to live it, but the bottom, your young talent, those are the disruptors. Those are the transformers for the future. So ask yourself, are you doing enough to kind of help those people on the operational level to funnel up ideas, solve problems, or if you are, sorry for being direct, if you are a blocker of disruption and transformation in your company. Because objects in the mirror sometimes are nearer to you than you would expect. And think about the 35,000 and more companies which are founded every day. They could overtake you right away in just a second in the mobile age. I want to close with one poster which is hanging around our offices, which you might take as a discussion point with your friends, colleagues, partners tonight. What would you do if you weren't afraid? With that, thanks so much for taking your time, spending the time here today, in particular with the last session. And now off for beer and dinner. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Kai Herzberger. That was today. Enjoy the evening. There'll be some performances outside. And be back here tomorrow for an exciting day at this center stage. Thank you very much. Enjoy.